Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. I'm gonna do another video on this particular YouTuber, and I think maybe I should include maybe a couple other YouTubers like her in this, but I think this deserves another video because this is a particular subject matter that deserves to be talked about in a separate video. And this particular YouTuber talks a lot about, she talks about female entitlement and fanatical feminism, and how some of these feminists think every single person in the male race owes them something. And this video is geared more towards certain people's ability to work despite their appearance, which says if you're somebody that has a neck tattoo or tattoos on their legs, this would be for you. And I'm going to speak briefly about a place that I used to work, which was rather unique, even though I hated the people that ran the company and all that stuff that I'm going to tell you in a minute why it was good. But I'm going to start with, this is making my case of certain people, women having the ability to work, and I'm going to describe some of them in this place I used to work in. Despite not working over there anymore, there's a type of hiring practice and different kinds of people that actually literally proves there's some women will work if they want to without being entitled or whatever the hell. But anyway, this place that I actually worked, okay, so my area is Western PA, and I'm also telling you why that companies and factories should I support them hiring. I don't care if it's I support the hiring of, say, if somebody is a woman or whatever and they're goth or they have these neck tattoos, different things, say, if they're nice to me, and I ran into a lot of them. I'm going to describe this place that's rather unique in their hiring practices, and I'd even say what kind of platform shoes I'd approve of, because this was a glass factory. But alright, so the area this place was in, their hiring practices, there's a couple of different people. Yeah, there were people looking like me, longer gray hair and balding. But yes, they had hired some women that were from nearby Ohio and West Virginia, the general location, the Ohio and West Virginia border, not but 20 miles, so away, if that. But anyway, first of all, there was some people, dudes and chicks in Ohio, especially women with their husbands and boyfriends also work. The older ones that would more would be my age and older, or even their 40s, that have their original long hair and gray, don't dye their hair. You had a lot of them coming out of Ohio and West Virginia age groups, you know what I mean? Say the older women with husbands, they had hair longer than mine. Going gray, don't bother to dye it, right? A trait which is still, that look is still alive and well in West Virginia and Ohio, right? And there is the younger ones that are kind of at their original natural hair, not going gray yet, younger ones, and even some of their husbands and boyfriends work there. And there's another thing with this place too, which I criticized a lot of shit of other companies, that people get away with shit because of nepotism and have their relatives in there. Despite what I hated about this former place, there was a part of nepotism. Some of people were related. I had friends there, so I had no problem with that. So some types of nepotism and hiring of people that are bunch related. Well, there were cliques you had to watch not to piss off that were shit starters too, you know what I mean, too. You had the busybody squawking hens that were always gossiping. You had that, the fat get busybody gossips. You get them everywhere. They're both black and white, but okay, yeah, you had the younger ones are natural hair and dressed the classic way of, along with natural hair, the from Ohio and West Virginia, typical halter tops, cut off shorts, or different kind of things. Some tattoos on their legs. And what I'm getting at, yeah, some with more tattoos than others. You know, two different type of looks. You know, the classic go ahead and go gray look. Oh yeah, you had some dudes with. There was a dude with green hair, real skinny, stickly dude covered with arms and tattoos. He damn near looked like Passport, the lead singer of Green Day or whatever. You know what I mean? So there was a mixed bunch of people there that got along. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about women abilities, here's where I'm getting at. Some of these women say we had to pick up glass mugs and glasses on platforms or boards and send things to a machine that would put the decals and different things on. Like some of your cups that Marvel Comics that you'd buy on Spencer's, right? Cups were made in China, but in case any of you guys didn't know, this is something very educational too. Cups were made in China, brought in, say, real cheap, but they were printed here in this factory in the USA. Your Marvel mugs. You had beer mugs this way and all that, the bunch of cups, the glasses, mugs, you know, and they'd print the decals with and then people would be opening boxes and yada yada. But yeah, printed in USA, which was a good thing. And a lot of women, as far as abilities, people I described, you know, fairly heavy platforms of bunches of glasses that were set on there and sent in through a machine. I'm trying not to bore you with the details, but it took some strength to do. And not just men, there were women, no problem picking that up. Women have the ability. And that dovetails in with excuse me, let me try this again. This dovetails into and coincides with stuff that I advocate on this YouTube channel, considering some of the locations where I've done some of my fitness videos. And I was also into, before the shift goes on and a lunch break, yeah, no guess, this is what I did. Everything from knuckle push-ups to splits and things like that. And I regard it as doing that and tuning up before lunch break, during lunch break or before the shift is good for you. You know, and that's another thing too, and I encourage shit like that. If I owned a company, guess what? I wouldn't be discriminating in my hiring practices, put it this way. And formerly being in a company that I'm explaining to you too, if I had the power and the money and the capital, I would see already shit that I would do better. You know, you would guess my hiring practices would be. I mean, they wouldn't be like biased. That's the good thing that I liked about it, despite me not being there, you know. But like, and I regarded that as a thing. I'm making my case here that this woman saying that about some of these women that are the feminists, that they think men owe them and everything, and everything else, and even sell themselves short on certain abilities. There are women that are more than happy to do heavier work in the factories and all that. They come in a couple of different looks, you know what I'm saying? And you, to understand that, you'd have to also be looking into YouTube channels, you know, these different, even fitness chicks. Some of them are yoga chicks, but some of them are tattooed yoga chicks. So you got tattooed weightlifters now, different ones like that. So I consider myself the different kind of belief system I have and philosophies that if I were to create it into a somewhat of some kind of a belief whatout evangelizing it, that certain abilities at the very minimum should be encouraged, and how to better yourself, you know, and get through a day, you know. In so many terms, I regarded that as a pretty cool thing, you know. A lot of women are willing to do it if they want to make the money. You know, this place, you know, there were women who did it, and this proves that they're capable of doing it. That means it's not an oppression, you know what I mean? And a lot of them. And anyway, this place was rather unique, and unlike these fanatical feminists who, you know, get out of, you know, I think the guy owes them a living or something, mad because they can't land a guy, and then when they land a guy, they bitch and wine or whatever, and then, want to be able to do what they please, while the guys are away at work, or else spend all the damn money or whatever, what the hell, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot of capabilities there, and then I'm not going to go Howard Stern on anybody about it, because I have a partner, but on certain people's under certain standards, I regarded that as hot as hell to somebody to be able to factory different looks, to be able to pick up heavy items along with the dudes. That should be held in high regard, not to go Howard Stern on anybody about it. You know what I mean? But from the view of maybe one of their husbands or boyfriends or whatever, yeah, you bet they're proud of them, and they should consider that hot as hell. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with the guy. Yeah, if this isn't shit like simping and holding doors open like these guys that go to these bars thinking they're going to get themselves some, that don't know that concept right there. This kind of factory environment, in my opinion, kind of teaches something very good, so a dude and the chick helping picking up a thing, picking up heavy objects, because it being part of the job, you know what I mean? That's a way better way of creating, what do you call it, as opposed to war between, different races, war between men and women, a type of exchange and cooperation instead of competition and conflict. But, well, maybe friendly competition in certain kind of ways, maybe during lunchtime, some kind of strength games or something. But like I said, there was the only bad part about this place was, yes, there were some dudes with beards with pot bellies, beer belly, with a guy with a beer belly and an attitude that don't do no work. He carries a cell phone around and threatens to fire so-and-so. And it was a fast-paced environment where garbage cans could have been emptied, cardboard boxes could have been gotten rid of, but you had assholes like this with a beard, a beer belly, and an attitude would do that shit to people, but they couldn't take a minute at a time. They don't do no work. That's all they're there for, to go and bitch at people and talk down to people. They could have, these kind of guys that were in here, they could have been doing things to help out the people that actually had the work. I mean, that philosophy, that kind of thing reminds me of a quote from Henry Rollins, when I listened to a lot of Henry Rollins' stuff, where he talked about some dude with a beer belly and an attitude giving him grief. Yeah, how many of you guys had that, had to deal with that? A guy with a beer belly and an attitude giving you grief. Yeah, I had a couple of those. That was part of the reason why I actually get fired from the job. I showed up every day. I was good, bad at some things, but I was good, particularly good in a lot of things. I had friends there. And just to make my point, despite not being there no more, just because of a couple of assholes, me not being there, nobody cared that I was doing knuckle push-ups and splits before the shift got started and before lunch break, as long as I wasn't in anybody's way or out in the parking lot by a wall. Didn't hurt anybody. As a matter of fact, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want on your own time, right? And in my thing, if this dovetails into another thing, what I would do in my yoga business, if you got this far in this video, why I have my beliefs strongly enough, kind of the locations that I do my videos in. I already told you, right, if you got this far in this video, my hiring practice would be if I owned some kind of a company, but if I also had a yoga studio that people could go after work or whatever. For one thing, I was telling you the shit that I would allow, and I wouldn't fire anybody out of spite for. I got fired out of spite for shit that nobody cared about, but I pissed some asshole off, some foreman that was probably some damn buddy's relative. I had friends there, and a lot of friends that I knew over there, they all knew it was bullshit. And then I was doing some work for charity out there in front of a Walmart. I ran into some former friends there. They told me, they said hi to me, and they knew it was bullshit, But anyway, my point is, if I were to sell somebody a yoga program and all that, and it dovetails into being able, if you have to, be able to kick somebody's face into outer space, you know, with a pair of steel-toed boots or a pair of goth boots, which or whatever the hell, without making any outrageous claims, you know, without having Joe Rogan and Bass Rutten, you know, busting my ass for making outrageous claims. This is about some basic wellness and making you better than you are, and more function. And I'd make the argument to be more functional in a workplace. You know, one thing, getting them hamstrings stretched out so that your back don't hurt near as much at the end of every day. You know what I'm saying? Which makes a huge ass difference. Even though I was accused once of the stuff that I do in my lunch break, it was a safety hazard. And this was a thing I pissed somebody off, and it became an issue to fire me for that. But that's not about what this is really about. That I'm just telling you what went down, why I ain't there anymore, and I don't regret anything I ever did in the place too, you know. But I'm just making my case on a couple of different things why some hiring practices are good, and women are, if they want to, are very good at laboring jobs. You know what I'm saying? And if you got this far in this video, the stuff I do, you know, multi-purpose. You know what I mean too. And I also had a tendency to mountain bike every day to work. You know, didn't drive a car. There was some of my critics that were the gossips and the hens didn't like that. I was morally or psychologically deranged because I didn't live primarily on credit, spend all my money on car payments or whatever, and then so there was some jealousy there too. But I'm just trying to say, no matter what you look like, I don't care any of the fans of this particular YouTube channel, this YouTuber. If there's any fans out there to give me these funny looks while looking at my videos and don't like me anyway, no matter who you are, I'm just saying, I still believe in better hiring practices. I hope that this video that I was able to tell you where I'm at as far as hiring practices, the kind of hiring practices that I approve of and there should be more of, and the ballpark idea different kinds of people, dudes and chicks that are capable of stuff. But yet I was trying to concentrate the video about different kind of women and different looks in the hiring practices and their ability to actually do laboring work. Not like this feminist shit, oh, that shit's too heavy, or I shouldn't have to work the 10 hours or whatever. But yeah, before I leave you in this video too, a lot of my background too is many years in my 20s. I worked in a factory, and I used to make particular items that they sold for thousands of dollars a set. Back they gave profit sharing bonuses, but that, you know, in Western Pennsylvania, you get a job above minimum wage. Some of them last decade or maybe a little more if you're lucky. And then they're tired of paying people them higher wages, and they start getting rid of people. But that's a whole other story I did in other videos. But anyway, I had backgrounds in using, like, I worked in scrap yards, ran one of them big old things that's like the body of a chainsaw, but it got a cutting wheel this big. I used to saw shit up. What I did is, you know, when I lost my real good paying job back in when I was in my 20s, when that went kaplooey, you know, there was a time where I was able to walk around with a smirk and long hair that I made to make my haters pissed off. A smirk on my face, having money in my pocket, and a type of hair that somebody didn't like. You know what I mean? But later on, hey, I was kind of down there, a little bit poorer, you know, and I'd work agency jobs where. I'm not shy about it. There was things I did for the summertime in an agency, helping where they'd send you assignments. You'd go helping clean sports stadiums near Pittsburgh area, one for West Virginia University. But anyway, I'd do shit like that in the summer, and then I'd go ahead and collect whatever I could collect for the winter, and use that time to go and volunteer for charity and give something back. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that. Hey, if any of you guys out there too that did all your work in summer for agency, and then collected whatever the hell you're allowed to collect in the wintertime, instead of sitting around watching TV or playing video games or doing other shit. Nothing wrong with video. I'm just saying. I did some things for charity during the holidays and all that, because I wanted to I liked it because I wanted to watch the people go by, like the late George Carlin said. The national pastime, not just baseball. He said, fuck baseball. The national pastime was buying things. Got to go and see what people were buying, you know what I mean? And so it's I grew up in different kind of attitudes where I had to, deal with the weather. I was raised, even if despite a dysfunctional environment, I was raised to be able to handle the weather. So a different kind of crap I'm not going to go on and on about. So I'm going to cut this off right here because I don't want it to be like ridiculously a long video, but I hope I was able to give you some basic ideas of where I am on this. I think that this video was more important than the other one I did.
Allein und dürstet die Seele. Ich ertrage die Schuld, ich ertrage die Beschuldigungen, denn ich bin in Versuchung und kenne keine Erlösung. Denn mein ist das Leid, die Wut und das Streben bis zum Tod. Amen.